Hi, I'm Chef Najai Dickerson with the American Heart Association, and let's get cooking. Cooking Up Confidence, Skills in the Everyday Kitchen Cooking Series. Each session will feature food safety, cooking methods, cooking skills, food storage tips, and of course, nutrition. Today, our recipe will be rosemary balsamic roasted vegetables with baked apples. Our cooking method will be roasting, and the recipe we'll be preparing will give you a chance to work on your knife skills. And we'll also be discussing how to make dressings and marinades. Before we start cooking, let's go over some important food safety tips. First, we want to talk about washing our hands. You want to make sure your hands are washed. You want to take about 10 to 15 seconds to scrub them, but the whole process will take 20 seconds. You also want to make sure you're using the right cutting board. So you want to have a yellow, or if you're using a white cutting board, make sure that it's clean and sanitized prior to use. And cook your poultry internally to 165. Once again, I'm Chef Najai Dickerson with American Heart Association. And this recipe is going to be a simple baked apple, all right? I chose Honey Crisps because these are my favorite. They have a lot of good flavor, but some people don't really care to take the knife out and cut up that way. So we have this great apple core. You can get them at your local store. They're pretty easy to get, and they look pretty cool too. So you can get something like that, and what happens is just bust it open just like this. You can season these with cinnamon, nutmeg, or anything like that. The main thing you want to do is make sure you cook it through so it can caramelize. We all know apples have plenty of sugar in them, so we're going to go ahead and just kind of saute them here a little bit. You can take them and drop them in the oven as well to do more of a baked item. But at the end of the day, it's about adding dry heat. All right? So you want to cut that down just a little bit. I'm going to add a little bit of oil. I try to stay away from using the butter, but this will still give you the nice caramelized apple that you're looking for. Now, once you get your tongs, you don't want to move them around too much, but you do want to keep about a moderate heat. And this is something you want to cook really slow. You don't want to cook it too fast. Now, once you start to get a little bit of a color like this here, you start getting your apples look something like this. All right? You want to make sure they have that color on both sides, so you want to turn them around. So something that was a little, a little plain, like an apple, you can take that and get a little bit creative with it and make it more of a dessert. I would simply just maybe add some agave to it if I wanted to. I could add some cinnamon, nutmeg, that sort of thing, all right? If you do have some, you can take them and put them off as a side, or you can serve them as dessert if you wanted to. A little bit of ice cream, a little bit of yogurt, something like that, and you have a whole nother dish right here. And there you go, baked apples or sauteed apples. The main thing I want you guys to realize, we're using dry heat method to get this cooked. Next part of this recipe is going to be our roasted vegetables. I chose to use sweet potatoes, beets, and some carrots, okay? I didn't really care for beets growing up, but the first introduction was pickled beets. So when I got the fresh beets, one of my goals was to try to really make it taste good. So one of the things I love about beets is that they have a little bit of sweetness to them. So you want to keep that in mind, right? So sweet potatoes and carrots do as well. And you want to develop that flavor by roasting them, okay? So we're going to pan roast these. You can easily take these and cut them up, start them in your pan, and if you have a metal handle, you can slide the whole pan in the oven if you want to do it that way, or you can start them, put them on this hotel pan, and slide them in the oven that way as well. Today we're going to just do it right here in front of you. So I'm going to show you that real quick. The first thing I did was got me a sweet potato, and I just want to take the skin off, because the skin doesn't really taste as good when it's soft like that. So I'll pull the skin off. All right. Okay, so once you get those going, take your skins, put those off to the side. You can use them for compost a little bit later. All right. Now what you want to do, I usually leave my skin on my carrots just because, but you do want to make sure you wash those off really, really well. Make sure you get you a nice sharp chef knife. Use your honing steel, right? And you just go in here and just make them a good size, you know, something that you can handle. You don't want to make them too small because then they'll just cook too fast and they'll get really mushy. So the great part about roasted vegetables, you want to have the outside kind of charred and sweet. And then on the inside, it should be nice and tender. So keep that in mind. Take them, using our methods here, take these 2 fingers and kind of guide yourself. Okay? All right, you want to add you a little bit of oil. We're using olive oil today, but you can have any oil you like for the most part. Avocado oil is really good too. Okay. These carrots, I'm going to change my cut up a little bit. I like more of a round. Okay. Kind of add those to it. And as far as the beets, now with beets you can add them any kind of way you want. So I took these and I went ahead and cut them up separately and I pre-seared them. So the reason I did that is because beets like to kind of carry their colors and flavors and it'll kind of, you know, discolor the rest of the vegetables, okay? So you want to cook those a little bit separate, whether it's a chef and sheet pan or a separate hotel or saute pan. So you want to get yourself a nice char. Okay. Now, rosemary. All right, this rosemary smells really good. I have a little bit of diced chicken breast that I'm going to serve this with. But I love rosemary, so once my vegetables are pretty much done, I'll take some rosemary, kind of rock my knife. Once I get that part going, I just kind of go in there and make some rough chops. Now, some items are good dry as far as herbs. Sometimes you want to use dry herbs, but rosemary is not the best to use. So we're going to put that off to the end. We have a little bit of balsamic vinegar that I'm going to add. Now you see they got the nice color on these, and that's what you want. You want to get that nice color, okay? All right. So once you get that nice color going, you want to deglaze that pan. Okay? All right? Now what you don't want to do is get close to it. It'll clear your sinuses up, so be careful with that. So what's happening now is all that sugar and vinegar, because balsamic has that sweetness too once you cook it down, it's just coating that. And you want to make sure that's nice and coated. And that's it. And then you just finish it with your fresh rosemary, okay? I added a little bit of onion and celery, like a basic mirepoix, which is equal parts celery and carrot, and then you have 50% onion, just to add some more flavor to it, right? So, kind of added that a little bit ahead of time. Now I just want to take that, and I'll mix it. And the favorite part for me is first plating. All right, and then eating. So you want to make sure you add all those in. This is enough to serve about 4 people. So, you know, share with a family member, a loved one, and you can get pretty much all your vegetables you need as far as root vegetables concerned. You have your carrot here, you have your sweet potato, your nice beets, and I threw some extra celery and onion just for flavor and color as well. Finish it with a little bit on top if you want, just for garnish, okay? Now, we also showed you about the apples before, so if you do have something like this and you want to use it as a garnish, you could always take a little bit of your apple here and, you know, just fan it out. Make it look, you know, a little something extra to add to your dish, okay? All right. You can have something like that right there on the side. All right, just a little something extra, okay? Now, marinades. When it comes to marinades and dressings, okay? You just wanna have maybe a 2 to 1 or 3 to 1, depending. So I like to make my marinades a 2 to 1. So meaning I'm gonna have 2 cups, 1 cup, okay? So I'm gonna have a 3 to 1, which means I'm gonna have 3 and 1 cup of vinegar, okay? Once you mix those together, the dressing can either be emulsified, a temporary one, or one that's gonna actually hold. So what that just means is we took the time and we incorporated the air, and now it accepted the oil and the vinegar together. So like they're more of a bond, which is not that important if you're gonna use it as a marinade. You can easily take these two, shake them up in a container, pour them over your salad, done, okay? Or it could be as complicated as adding onion and garlic, adding fresh herbs to it. But don't be intimidated by going in and trying new recipes and trying new dressings, because you have everything you need right here. So what I wanted to discuss was how I put this together. So these apples, you want to try to get a complete dish, okay? You want to have fruit, fruit, vegetables, and you also want to try to have a lean protein. Now you can use chicken breasts, you can use fish, but you want to keep the portions about 4 ounces, okay? And they should be lean. So when you're going to build a dish like this, you want to have these components in place, because then you can have a somewhat balanced dish. If you buy a 50-pound bag of carrots and you use them throughout, a month or so, you'd be surprised how much of that you can use in other dishes versus going to the store trying to get different items. Same thing with beets. These 3, I chose these 3 for this recipe because they pair really well together. One's a little bit more bitter than the other, but when you mix them together, they taste really good. And you finish it with a nice balsamic and some herbs. It really brings everything together, so keep that in mind. Now, you have to have a lean protein component. So what I did was I just broke these up into different components. So when you're making these dishes, you want to think in this way. Now, as far as leftovers, because like I have right here, I have leftovers. So what I'm going to do is make a soup. Doesn't it sound like a good soup? Beets, carrots, sweet potatoes with chicken. All I have to do is maybe put some kale or spinach in that. Maybe throw a little bit of rice in it. I have a really tasty dish that I can share with my family, or add a little chicken stock to it. So keeping that in mind, leftovers are an ingredient. I'll say it again. Leftovers are an ingredient. So please find ways to utilize your leftovers, because you don't want to throw money in the trash, and it's good cooking.